At the beginning of the story, we see a woman named Aaliyah looking confused and flustered. A little boy with tears in his eyes is hugging her, pleading for her not to divorce his brother. The little boy is the Grand Prince of Indigentia, named Caleb Indigentia, belonging to the royal and powerful family. Aaliyah already knows that this little boy is the most powerful villain in this novel. She wonders why this boy is clinging to her so tightly. Aaliyah is also crying as Caleb begs her not to leave him and his brother. Caleb asks Aaliyah if she doesn't want to live with him and his brother. Aaliyah replied, "No, that's not at all." But she looks at someone who is standing in front of her and says that her contract marriage is ending soon. That's the reason behind their divorce. Cedric Kettisel is the Grand Duke of Indigentia. Cedric asks his brother not to put trouble on Aaliyah. But Caleb is crying and he calls Aaliyah emotionally and says that Cedric is incomplete without her. Caleb says that without Aaliyah, his brother will become completely foolish or he might even harm himself. Caleb feels scared at night without Aaliyah. Caleb is crying and grabs her arms, telling her that he feels like there is a monster under his bed. His cute eyes are filled with emotions as he requests her not to divorce his brother. She replies to him, "Your brother is the strongest person in this world." She knows that his wounds are caused by more than 100 soldiers, and she also knows that Caleb is scared of the monster under his bed, which is the representation of the great evil that will transform into limbs. We get to know that Caleb is going to be a wizard who will control the darkness. Suddenly Cedric shouts, "Stop it, Caleb." Aaliyah looks uncomfortable. Aaliyah angrily replies to Cedric, asking why he is getting angry at a little child. She imagines that she should make Caleb comfortable. Then Cedric gets angrier and he holds Caleb's shoulder and pulls him harshly from Aaliyah's arms. Aaliyah shockingly shouts at Cedric, asking what he is doing with a small child. Cedric helplessly says that these things don't change anything. Caleb slaps his hands away and moves away from Cedric. Caleb angrily says that Cedric is hurting him and abuses him by saying that he is an idiot, and he is the most foolish person he ever met in his life. He asks Cedric why he is leaving Aaliyah, how he can let her go from his life easily. That's not right. Caleb feels rude about Cedric's behavior towards Aaliyah. Cedric helplessly said that he is not doing all this willingly. They made a contract a year before marriage. Then suddenly Aaliyah shouts at both of them and asks them why they are fighting with each other. Even Aaliyah is shocked at why all this is happening. In the past, one day, and Aaliyah opens her eyes and she finds herself in an unknown body. She is thinking, what is going on with me? What is happening? When she closed her eyes and opened them again, Aaliyah realized that she is reincarnated, and she had no memory of the person she possessed. Aaliyah managed to find out simple information through her diary. In conclusion, she got to know that this world is a novel and she is Aaliyah, who is 23 years old. And this was the only information she knows about. Seeing as she doesn't remember much, she is thinking that in this novel, the author created her and forgot about her. She feels so happy. Aaliyah sees outside that there is nothing but trees and mountains around her. Aaliyah is totally surprised and she feels that she should go for a walk outside. Aaliyah is speaking with herself by thinking that how this world is so kind. Aaliyah is confused about what character she resembles, but Aaliyah is happy and she feels better that she has worked it out better. Aaliyah is so curious about this life and she is thinking that this life is a better opportunity for her. Then Aaliyah ran out of the house and explored the forest some more. Aaliyah feels that she doesn't have to worry about many things because she is not the female who is leading this story. And Aaliyah is happy that she is pioneering a wasteland where there is nothing. She feels so happy and free in the forest. Suddenly Aaliyah hears some noise from the forest and she sees that an animal is chasing a little kid. Aaliyah shouts at the kid and asks him to come to her. The kid is shocked and he is thinking about what he has to do at this instance. Without thinking much, the boy runs towards the girl and she hides the boy behind her to protect him. She doesn't know if she can fight this wolf or not, but the only thing on her mind is that she has to protect this kid. The wolf was looking very big and dangerous, but she feels that there is still a chance she can defeat it because this world is in a novel, so anything can happen. She leans towards the boy and kicks out the wolf, but we get to see that a simple kick of hers was so strong that it made the wolf fly away in the air. Even she was stunned by seeing her power in this situation. She was all flustered and confused because the wolf was lying unconscious on the ground. The little boy asks her if the wolf is dead or not. She smiled and replied, "It's okay. Even I was very scared at the moment." The boy looks at her with stunning eyes and thanks her for saving his life. The boy promises her that he will definitely repay her kindness. But as soon as she looks at him, she is shocked. She doesn't trust her eyes and gets a flashback of a little boy who looks similar to the one standing in front of her. She kneels in front of the boy and asks him, "Yun, is that you?" She feels Yun is right in front of her and she can't believe her eyes. She is shocked. She asks that little boy if he is Yun or not. She is stunned and is thinking, how is this possible? Yun is there in front of me. Then suddenly, that little boy replies, who is Yun? My name is not Yun. She looks at his eyes and regains her consciousness, realizing that he is not Yun. The little boy introduces himself as the Archduke who belongs to the Ebersent imperial family. His name is Caleb Indigentia. Aaliyah is shocked and suddenly realizes that the puzzle pieces in her mind are connecting, and now she is getting to know what is actually happening to her. She remembers that this child is from the novel which tells her about the parents of Yun. She comes to know that this little boy is the dark side of the novel she read before. In Aaliyah's life, she had only one family, that was Yun. Then she starts to express the story of her life from which she had suffered earlier. Yun was her little brother, and he was suffering from a rare illness. He had to be hospitalized all the time. Despite his young age, he always endured the treatment with courage. Aaliyah was a member of the Taekwondo team, and she promised Yun that she would definitely win the gold medal for him. Then, Yun mischievously smiled and said that he was looking forward to it and he was curious to see his sister's achievement. Time passed quickly while she was preparing for the Olympics, and after lots of hardship, she won the gold medal for Yun. Aaliyah was very happy and she thought, from now on, everything will be alright, we don't need to worry about the money. She decided to take Yun to the best hospital for his treatment. Aaliyah and Yun would happily live for a long life as she had planned. But, unfortunately, Yun passed away, and his will was not to inform his sister before her match was over. She was totally broken. She cried a lot because Yun was the only one in her family and now he also passed away. After losing Yun, she ignored all the reporters and journalists who approached her because she was scared to face reality, and she used to get addicted to the internet. Then one day, she saw an advertisement passing by in which she saw a web novel. The name of the novel is I Won't Let You Sleep This Time. When she saw the photorealistic cover, she was shocked. She couldn't take her eyes off it, especially that dark face among the people on the cover because it was totally identical to Yun's face. She got addicted to the novel and she fell in love with that novel while looking at Yun in that novel. Then she realized that Caleb is the dark character who resembles Yun and is now standing in front of her eyes. Caleb replies, "It looks like you mistook me for someone named Yun and saved me." Aaliyah felt disappointment because he wasn't Yun and she apologized for the mistake. But she noticed that Caleb's voice is as similar as Yun's. However, he said that since she is his benefactor, she can feel free to talk to him comfortably. Caleb is thinking that if he hadn't been hurt, he could have gotten rid of this injury with his magical power. Aaliyah is stressed that Caleb just said that he is injured. She asked him if he was injured. Caleb agrees with her. She feels bad for him. She sees blood on his hand, but Caleb claims that this is not a big deal for him at all. Caleb didn't feel any pain from that instance. She was tense that this wound will definitely cause Caleb pain. She replied, "No, wait. How can a wound be insignificant when it's bleeding like this?" She also noticed that there are some red marks on his palms and she asks him if this injury is from a previous injury. She asks him to follow her to her small cottage where she is living, and she used a small piece of her dress to tie it around his palm. Then Caleb thanks her. She took Caleb to the road which goes to her cottage and she sees that Caleb is limping a little. Then she notices that his leg is also injured. Caleb is thinking that this injury is normal for him and he doesn't feel pain anymore. It's just a little sprain from when the fox was chasing him. Then Aaliyah says that if he feels hurt or pain on that injury, he should tell her about it. She is tense that these two injuries will be very painful for that little boy. But Caleb is continuously thinking, why is this girl taking so much care of me? Is there anything wrong with her? Or does she feel something for me? She suddenly asks him, what happened? You look depressed. She started thinking like Caleb is thinking that Aaliyah is scolding him or what. But she is only worried about him. Suddenly, she realizes the content of a novel which she had read, coming to her mind that this is the bad phase of Caleb and he is a disputed loser in the story. And because of some reasons, his subordinates didn't like him. Caleb belongs to the royal family and he always adhered to strict standards, which should maturely, perfectly, and won't disappoint others around him. She was stressed that why people hate Caleb. Even she didn't have any idea about it because she has not properly addressed the novel. She thinks because of his family standards, Caleb is definitely feeling disappointed while growing up. This is so cruel that he is still a little child. And she makes sure that Caleb doesn't have to worry because she really doesn't mind at all. And she suddenly sits down in front of Caleb and asks him to come on her back so she can give him a piggyback ride. She is doing all this because his leg is injured. But Caleb feels embarrassed about how he should hop on the lady's back. He claims that this injury is not that much for him and he can take care of himself. He replied that he is not that sick. Aaliyah feels it's a big deal because she sees Yun in Caleb's face. This sister is going to carry this little boy on her back because she wants to do so. Caleb is thinking that if he had a wand, he would be able to use magic right away on the wounded area. And she took him to her cottage and she offers him cocoa powder to eat, and she took a hot water for herself. Caleb thanks her for the cocoa powder. She says not to be thankful for every little thing. She already knows that this little boy is going to make this world fall into the abyss of fear in the future. Then she realizes why she is thinking about the future. She decides to pretend positively at best with Caleb. She is worried that she has to send him away once his wound heals up. She notices some sound from Caleb. She asks him if he is hungry, but Caleb denies it. She asks him when did he eat anything last time. Caleb replies with some disappointment that he has been wandering the woods since early morning. Aaliyah is shocked. This little boy has starved all day and still he is not accepting to eat something. She says to him that she will make some dinner for him to eat, but Caleb denies it because he used to skip dinner since last month. His literature teacher told him not to have dinner always because if he gains weight, then his appearance will look bad at his first appearance. She is shocked to hear this. She gets furious and thinks, how can they make him go on a diet when he was growing up? She doesn't understand how they can make this little child, who is only 6 and 7 years old, starve. Then she realizes that when she carried him on her back, Caleb was so light. She feels that the etiquette teacher is a crazy bastard. She decides that she will feed him lots of delicious food and then she'll send him back. Aaliyah is thinking that Caleb's teacher is a crazy bastard, and she has decided that she will make lots of delicious food for Caleb. She starts cooking. Then she realizes that the only ingredients she has in the house are potatoes, and she feels regret about this. Caleb is shocked at how she makes so many dishes in such a short period of time. Caleb is thinking that Aaliyah makes food so fast it doesn't look like magic was used. Aaliyah is used to this cooking practice because she is alone at home, so she only has to make food for herself. Aaliyah asks Caleb to try the dishes she has made. Caleb is still confused about whether he should eat dinner or not. She is angry at how a teacher could ask a child to lose weight at such a young age. Aaliyah gets up angrily and tells Caleb to eat. It's really okay to eat. And now he slowly trusts her and takes a little bite. The pepper is somewhat strong, but he doesn't mind because Caleb is happy to have such delicious food. Aaliyah asks him to try potato pancakes and tells him that everyone craves these when it rains. Aaliyah offers him a bite, but he replies that he will eat it by himself only. Aaliyah feeds him food by her own hand. Then she asks him how the food is. Caleb replies that the food is amazing, and he will remember it when it rains. But Caleb is used to eating the food faster, so she tells him not to eat too quickly, and she asks him if he needs more, she'll make it for Caleb. She thought she would send him quickly, but she decides to bring more ingredients from outside tomorrow. The next morning, Caleb suddenly wakes up and feels regret that he has overslept. He is so punctual about timing, and he realizes that this is Aaliyah's cabin and he is thinking that this place is not the Grand Duchy. He shouldn't have overslept, but his tired body is refreshed. He feels interested in how he fell asleep like this. He remembers some days that he thinks he hasn't slept in peace since that day. He is sad and frightened to remember that day. It was no less than a nightmare for him. Then suddenly Aaliyah enters the cabin and asks Caleb if he slept well. Caleb replies that he slept so soundly that he couldn't speak in the morning. Caleb asks her where she has been. She replies that she went to bring some groceries. Aaliyah is planning to make some meat stew for lunch. Caleb is confused about what Aaliyah is talking about. Then he starts thinking that she can kill a wolf with a single kick, she can heal injuries skillfully, and she also has a simple appearance which is dazzling. She doesn't seem like an ordinary person at all. Besides, she is good at cooking. Then suddenly Aaliyah asks him, what's wrong? Caleb was thinking to know more about Aaliyah, but he didn't tell her about himself either. Caleb says to Aaliyah that she should wake him up on time from tomorrow. Aaliyah replies, why? Caleb is not supposed to oversleep. Aaliyah scolds him and asks him what will happen if a child oversleeps. That's a normal thing. It doesn't matter that much. Caleb says that he is not an ordinary child. He is a Grand Duke. Aaliyah says that this isn't even a Grand Duke castle. Until Caleb returns to the Grand Duchy, he is just Caleb. And if he wants to sleep here, he can sleep or eat delicious food and have fun. She puts her hands on his head and reminds him that should he got that. Looking at Aaliyah, he remembers how strong she is, even though she is good at healing and cooking too. Caleb feels that Aaliyah is so kind. Aaliyah patted him without realizing and she asks him whether he is ready to have lunch or not. She tells him to sit comfortably, but Caleb was thinking why Aaliyah is calling him just Caleb. Then he remembers that his teacher told him that he is a Grand Duke and he has to act like an adult all the time, even though he is not feeling comfortable. But this everything is for Caleb only. Caleb knows that he shouldn't do what Aaliyah says, but he is confused about why he is feeling happy for her carefree nature. Then suddenly Aaliyah says that they don't have much cocoa powder, but Caleb is comfortable to have chamomile too. Aaliyah asks him about today's meal. Does he like it or not? Caleb replies, yes. Aaliyah was glad to hear this. Then Caleb says that Aaliyah is amazing and he asks her if it's because of the child named Yoon. It seems like someone she has known for a long time. Caleb wants to know more about Aaliyah, and he wants to tell her about himself too. Aaliyah thinks that Caleb wants to get closer to her, and she is confused about what to do next. Then she decides to do her best until Caleb is here, but she is aware not to cross the line. She asks, tell me, Caleb. She doesn't trust herself that how can she do this. She thinks that she is only listening to his story. She is scared to get involved much because she knows in future Caleb is going to be a ruthless villain. Caleb thinks for a moment and tells Aaliyah that he has one older brother. She was expecting him to talk about his older brother. But in the original novel, namely, I Won't Put You to Sleep This Time, we see a name that no one can forget after reading once. Cedric Kettisel Indigentia. He was adopted by the Indigentia family when he was 10 years old. He cast the gravity magic accurately at the mere age of 13. Gravity magic was so difficult to cast, even for an 18-year-old. No one was able to wield it for the last 120 years. Even the Emperor's scepter was broken. So, he became the supreme being in the novel. After all this brief introduction, no other information was revealed. Then Caleb says that his brother came into his family as the adopted son. They were not related by blood, but he loves and respects his brother so much. But, with some disappointments, he reveals that last year his brother was cursed. Aaliyah got shocked by hearing this. Caleb says that the curse can only be lifted by the caster, but he hasn't found that caster yet. Aaliyah agrees with the same. She already knows about that and she remembers this fairy curse, and even she knows that this is the only opportunity for Caleb to turn into darkness. In the original novel, we get to know that the beloved Marinus family was Daphne. Prince Renoa was the epicenter empire who has appeared as the main character. But there is the development of events in this novel where, one day, a fairy appeared in front of Renoa. He says that he will slowly put him into eternal sleep. The fairy tried to curse him to sleep forever. At that moment, Daphne appeared in front of Renoa to protect him from the curse, and then the curse was deflected with magic. Then after that, they fell in love with each other. They hold hands of each other by looking into each other's eyes. But, as time passes, when she woke up in this novel, she saw that Daphne had already saved Renoa, and Cedric was cursed afterwards. The curse can be stopped. It's not like there is no way to stop the curse. Then Caleb thinks if it's the Sanctuary of Knowledge. The Sanctuary of Knowledge is the place where all the knowledge of the world is located. Among all these three families that are the pillars, namely Maishalats of the physical, Marinus of water, Indigentia of gravity. All these places are this much special that only authorized people have access to enter. Aaliyah knows that to continue the family lineage or to become the head of the family, she thought that it's difficult. Only those who swore loyalty to the family could enter. Caleb says that the fastest way for his brother to enter the Sanctuary of Knowledge is to become the Grand Duke. But his brother refuses to inherit the title and he is trying to install Caleb as the Archduke. His brother says that Caleb don't have to worry, but Caleb is worried that he won't be able to break the curse. So, there will be so many checks until he becomes the Grand Duke and still he has a lot to do. But he will try to enter the Sanctuary of Knowledge only for his brother. Aaliyah thought that if Cedric will be around when Caleb becomes the Grand Duke, his condition is continuously becoming weak day by day. Then Caleb quickly arrived at the Sanctuary of Knowledge. Then he searched for all over the information he could find. But he didn't just not know how to break the curse, but he couldn't find a single clue about that fairy. But one day, Caleb heard that the fairy is captured who placed the curse by the imperial family. Caleb rushed to the dungeon where the fairy was, but the fairy was already dead who is the only one who can lift Cedric's curse. Caleb thought that there was someone who is plotting a conspiracy in the imperial family. When he sees all these things, he started to distrust the imperial family and developed deep hatred towards them. He dabbled in the forbidden black magic and made a contract with the great devil only for the sake of his brother and for the destruction of the imperial family. She thinks that she can't stop Caleb and she can't even change the future. Then she comes to realize that Caleb is only the main character of this novel who is completely different from Aaliyah who is extra in this novel. And she knows that Caleb is not young. But still until Caleb is in her cabin she used to comfort him that he can do it, becoming an archduke and saving his brother. And even she tells him that if he needs any help from Aaliyah, she'll help him as much she can. After a few days, a week passed away. Caleb was not that much free. When Aaliyah saw him for the first time, he used to be silent in front of her and he was so cautious. But now, he has changed. He feels free and noticeably changed. His face is glowing, and he feels happy. He becomes so expressive. Now he is freely expressing his emotions. Caleb found one rabbit in the forest and he takes him to Aaliyah. She says that the rabbit is so cute. Caleb says that he found this rabbit when he was walking in the forest. But Aaliyah feels that she saw this rabbit somewhere before. Caleb wants to take the rabbit to Aaliyah's cabin. When rabbit see Aaliyah, he jumped down and ran away. She is thinking that why the rabbit runs away when he sees Aaliyah, then she guesses that the rabbit is surprised because she approached him suddenly. Aaliyah is going to a cabin to make some snacks, and she asked him to. Caleb wants to go with Aaliyah while holding hands with her. Aaliyah feels cute that Caleb is becoming close to her. Caleb's wounds are also healing day by day, and in a few days, Caleb will go back to his grand duchy. She is thinking that why Caleb's elder brother don't come to find Caleb because so much time passed. But Cedric was stressed, and he is wondering where Caleb is. Let's see what will his brother do to find Caleb. On the other side, Aaliyah is treating Caleb like his own little brother. And let's see in the next video what will Aaliyah do to stop Caleb from becoming an evil person. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.